Now, live from Dallas, it's RedEyeRadio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and things that really make a difference in your life. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. This is RedEyeRadio. All across America, this is RedEyeRadio. And here are Eric and Gary.
866-907-3339, 866-90-RED-EYE. Dr. Oliver McGee served as the U.S. Deputy Assistant Secretary of Transportation under President Bill Clinton. He is a mechanical engineering professor and expert in jet propulsion who has studied business, law, and technology. And he's the author of a new book titled Jumping the Aisle, How I Became a Black Republican During the Age of Obama. He joins us right now. Dr. McGee, welcome.
Good morning,
hey, it's
Eric and Gary.
It's great to have you on. Let's talk about where the change of heart was for you.
Well, the change of heart came for me during the 2008 election. I was watching history being made. We were looking at the possibility of choosing the first black president and also considering the possibility of choosing the first woman president in Hillary Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
I was a backer of Hillary. I worked for Bill Clinton, and I remember the fundamental rule that he taught me is remember those who wrong you. So I was working with the Clinton campaign, and I really was really focused on seeing the possibility of having the first woman president in the United States.
Yeah.
When the party shook out to where they wanted to emerge with Barack Obama, then I looked at the two parties campaigning together, and they were at debate together during the primary. I said, this looks like a great ticket. Whether it's Obama on top or Hillary as vice president or vice versa, that was testing the value of diversity in the White House if I've ever seen it. So I said, here's an opportunity for history to be made. And oftentimes we go to polls and we go to elections with the head and the heart. And that was a touch of the heart. Well, when they didn't unite the ticket and they weren't both on the ticket as Obama, Clinton, and I saw where the party was going, really reaching towards the far left tenets, because I was really center left. When my party left, I turned right, and that's the title of my first chapter of my book. Because when I looked to the right of the aisle, I began to see some of the things that I was beginning to hear that I believed in, largely because I went to Wharton in Chicago, so I oftentimes say that Wharton in Chicago made me right. Less government, low taxes, people really want less constraint to put on their lives, a little more freedom, a little more efficiency to run their own businesses and to be able to shape the directions of their pocketbook, particularly at the kitchen table issues.
Right.
And then also, I don't know if we really want a big, large government bureaucracy in the waiting room with us or in the examining room with us as a doctor. So I began to see that those types of encroachments were really more in line of seeing more constraints that were necessary to take on that. I began to see that was becoming more right. It was a surprise to me as anyone else in my family, because my family is a family that was dedicated to diversity and civil rights, and all of a sudden they're looking at me and say, whoa, Lord, we got lost one from the reservation. We've done gone right. And so oftentimes I often thought, you can imagine the conversations we were having at the kitchen table in my family, and it's spirited, but it's also we're beginning to examine the issues and vote in our own minds and our own choices. And my mama raised me right to be able to have those independent choices to, examine closely. And I think when you look at the American electorate today, I think they're beginning to look very, very closely at the issues. when I see this upcoming election, and I'm from Ohio, Ohio is really a great state. It's big cities and big countrysides and big on minorities and big on colleges and universities and big corporations and big middle class. And if you can make the sell in Ohio, you can make this sell across USA. And I often say that the road to the White House goes through Ohio. In fact, it's going to go through Cincinnati and East Cleveland. Just those two counties is going to really make the big difference. And when we look at some of the issues that we're talking about at the kitchen table, they're going to be really talking about jobs and talking about how to make this wallet and this pocketbook work really well when we get past the debates and start looking at the issues of each one of the candidates. They're going to be really talking about, well, how do I feel in my pocketbook right now? And that when you close that curtain, I think all of the polls and the pundits and these focus groups are going to be completely away. It's you and your decision, your choice, and you're going to find that when the economy is more stressed as it is now, you're going to see a whole lot of people jumping the aisle. And that was one of the reasons why I wrote the book.
Doctor, I see that your background, mechanical engineering professor, you're an expert in jet propulsion, you've studied business, law, technology, you mentioned your business education. You are someone, one of the reasons we just got your book the other day, so I haven't read it yet, but one of the things, just reading your bio, that fascinated me is it seems, and I think, that your thought process and mindset is a lot like Eric and my I think mindset. There's a lot of political rhetoric out there. We want to sort of just blot that out and just talk about ideas that work. My dad's an engineer. I came from an engineering background. So I look for things that work. Try to get up, forget about, I don't care. I don't care about the birth certificate right now. I don't care about the religion. I don't care about any of the conspiracy theories. All I care about is what ideas are they proposing and what does history and science show and economics show what works. And that's what I want to discuss. And I guess my question is that what you're saying, is that people are to that point because of their pocketbook and kitchen table issues where they are now studying the actual issues and looking to see what works and what doesn't, and the political rhetoric is sort of over at least a significant portion of people's heads right now?
Oh, boy, you really nailed it. I honestly believe that people are saying it's not about me, the person. Rather, it's about we, the people, who are responsible, for we, the lawmakers, who are accountable. Gary and Eric, I actually write that in this book. And the feedback I've gotten from people is people, first of all, ask me, where did an engineer get that type of phrasing and an idea? And then I have people come up and tell me, you don't talk like an engineer. You talk like a non-engineer.
Right.
And I say, good, because science and technology and the engineering and mathematics, although we're with the calculus, we can speak English. And it is refreshing that we are speaking that type of English for the public understanding and the benefit of science and technology.
Yeah, and that's the conversations that we are having at the table. That's something Gary and I pride ourselves on. And on this program, what we try to do is have the conversations that people are having, without really trying to get into the minutia of it, talk about the very basic concepts of an economy and how it all works. So how do we take that from our kitchen table to a larger scale, and how do we demonstrate that in a plain English, very civil tone for those Americans who seem to not be getting it?
I think we have to stop thinking about change so much, which is really about what happened, and start thinking about possibilities. Like my website, OliverMcGee.org, is Partnership Possibilities for America. And in my book, Jumping the Aisle, I really wanted to stretch the book and the readers to say, if we're talking about the issues today, what's going to happen as we stretch to 2076, on getting to 2076. Mm-hmm. And why 2076? Because that's America's tercentennial. We were revolutionizing this country in 1776.
Yeah.
We reorganized this country post the Civil War in 1876 so that we could reinvent America for its bicentennial in 1976. And when we make the critical decisions about our belief in America, low government, low taxes, more jobs, we're also making decisions for our children and their children and their children's children. Mm. And that is getting to 2076. That's the last chapter of my book. And in that, we're going to be looking at three pillars: capital, technology, and competition. Is America competitive then? Yes. Because when America is looking at great forms of capital, not only just a physical capital of money, but also human capital, and then we start making investments in technology and infrastructure development, real investments in infrastructure development.
Right.
That can create 8 million jobs if we really start getting serious in a joint private-public partnership in infrastructure development, trains, planes, and bridges and automobiles.
Well, your experience
we can rebuild America.
Right. Your experience with technology policy there at the USDOT. What is it? Is there anything right now that Transportation Secretary Ray LaHood is doing where it's really raising a red flag with you, saying this is the wrong track? Is there anything you can pick apart at that level in terms of the DOT? Are we on the wrong track there? What are they doing wrong? What should they be doing differently?
Well, let's take it from the direction of independence of my last chapter of what should they be doing. Really stretching, and this is going to take quite a bit of a government organization on building a high-speed rail system in this country so that we can actually have solid trains and planes and automobiles as forms of transportation. And then also, as I was working with Rodney Slater, the former Transportation Secretary under Clinton, what is solid transportation policy architecture for the 21st century on getting to 2036? And that's going to be moving people, ideas, and things. This is what former Secretary Slater used to say. And he was one of the most bipartisan secretaries that I have ever had the privilege to work with.
Now, are you saying you are for high-speed rail?
I believe that is a direction that we could go if we did a good, solid public-private partnership to do that. The government can't do all of that in this country by itself, but we can mobilize a new technology.
Okay, just as the engineer in me, I'd say absolutely not. Because it's something that people are not demanding except in a few quarters of this country.
Now, are you predicting, Dr. McGee, that there would be such a demand years down the road?
Years down the road. Remember, in my book, I'm talking how to stretch us from the debates that we're doing today on getting to 2076.
Oh, okay,
and
right.
What we see in America's tercentennial, those issues are going to be very simplified compared to what we're debating about today.
Well, sure. And I think by 2076, great minds like yours and the engineers that we count on to come up with great innovations will already have us being able to transport. We can just go ahead and say, beam me up, Scotty, and I'll go from one point to another. And high-speed rail won't be necessary because I'll be able to get to the store in about 3 seconds.
I hear you. Because I always, ironically, I always wake up in the middle of the night and make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And guess who is on the great WMAL in Washington, D.C.?
It is RedEyeRadio.
Okay.
Well, Dr. McGee, we certainly...
I've always basically heard your debate. And, one of the reasons I wrote the book, Jupin the Aisle, how I became a black Republican in the age of Obama. Isn't that ironic?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to get things in that book, and which I wrote. And one of my friends told me when they read the book, they said, "This book is full of things that make you go,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
right.
yes.
Well,
Yes. Yes.
And when I listen to Red Eye Radio, it goes things that make you go,
Exactly.
And I eat my peanut butter and jelly sandwich in the middle of the night.
That's great. That's great. Well, Dr. McGee, we love that because we believe these discussions need to take place. They absolutely do. And we are just sorry that we're out of time because we could go on for a long time.
And we'll have you on again, sir.
We will. And
thank you so much because I love this show, and that's just the things that make you go,
Yes,
absolutely.
And I can't wait to read the book.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
And some other great books that you can find at olivermcgee.org, the website, Dr. Oliver McGee. We appreciate your time, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And this hour...